everyone, good evening. So today I will be talking from a very different perspective. I'm not a doctor, but I'm the patient here. I will be talking about my journey from this rock star of a kid, the purple one, hyperactive, to a depressed adolescent kid, to the doctor that I am. Basically, my mental health journey and 13 key insights from the same. So I was born in November, raised by a single mother, but I had the best of childhood, best of schooling, best of friends. There was nothing to complain about, right? And life went on. My adolescence, childhood was a very good time in my life. And then what happened, I was also given the best of schooling. My school was back opposite the Miramar beach. We had the best of teachers, best of friends, best of memories. And I was like, the world is my oyster and I'm going to get it. So we're passing with good grades. I was about to go to my higher secondary school the next day. And I was super excited. But that day was the day that changed my life. I felt the infamous pit in the stomach, the dark emptiness, and I did not know what it was. This was the time when mental health was not widely spoken about. If you had to go to the psychiatrist, you were considered equal mad. So I went through the phase of my college with low grades, low self-esteem. I distanced myself from my friends because I did not know what was going wrong with me. But then I did something which I consider something I'm truly proud of. I went ahead and I sought help, which brings me to my first insight. The bravest thing that you could ever do is not the bungee jumping, not the skydiving, but actually seek help. I stole some money from my mother's pocket. Sorry, Mom. This is something I'm not very proud of. But I went to a psychiatrist and he diagnosed me with depression and anxiety and gave me a host of antidepressant medications. My graduation, as you can see there, was a whole twist and turn of relapses, getting better, relapses and getting better. And I knew that this was not the cure. Something had to be done. So I came back and I decided to go cold turkey. Cold turkey is when you stop all your medications. And that is when I hit my biggest relapse. Spanning over a time of 7 days, I lay on the bed motionless and I accepted defeat. I said this is something I cannot battle. And probably it is the time for the drastic step. So as I did all my research and I was like, this is it, I had a eureka light bulb moment. We were introduced to the practice of Buddhism at a quite early age, but I did not take it seriously. But there was someone called Mrs. A, let's call her, I truly admired. I was like, should I even just go and speak to her once? Maybe it may not make a difference, but people will say she tried. So what did Miss A do? So many a times when people come to us, our own family and friends, with the same illness, we don't know what to say. I will give you 2 points. You need to give them hope, a dream that can sparkle their eyes. And second, you need to believe in their life more than them. Mrs. A told me one day that you will going to help people going through the same thing. I took on the challenge, went on, which brings to my key insight number 3. Exercise is one of the most underrated medicine for depression. I went on marathons, started doing Zumba classes, but I knew that the Pandora's box had to be open. The reason people go through mental illnesses is because certain thought patterns that serve them once well fail to serve them again. So I decided to go for therapy. Then meet my therapist, this bald guy wearing shorts in a small house in Moira. Trust me, this house was in Moira. And I was like, how is this guy going to help me? He needs help himself. He came with a bowl of oats on the first session. And then I realized that the best therapist on Just Diet or the best therapist in Google is not your therapist. Your therapist is someone who you understand. And while I went to therapy through the lakes in Moira and understood about life, I realized one thing, which brings to my second insight. Your pain will always turn into your purpose. When I became a doctor, I encountered people who were going through similar issues. Though I do not deal with such cases, I was able to give them unjudgmental, listening and actually direct them to the right causes. Which brings me to another insight. One of the key insights in mental health is the lack of self-esteem. As we are growing, we're made to believe that we need to suffer in order to get something. or our life is only worthy if we have a social standing or a class. This book, which you had seen in the previous slide, was one of the best books I read, and I do recommend you all read it. This slide reminds me of the part where I learned to say no. It's very important in a journey to healing to say no to triggering people, even if it's me, triggering auntie, triggering uncles, triggering events. Which then gets me to the next key insight, which is that mental health will never be a destination. It's been around 5 years and have oft antidepressants and never felt the need to go back to them. But I know one thing for sure, that every step you take for your mental health will be something that you enrich your mental health, and it's a never-ending destination. Which brings me to the part of vulnerability. Why do I share this? Because I realized everyone in this room has gone through similar issues, and when we share about our struggles, it makes it a more humane society, rather than just putting on a facade of being all right. Mindfulness is something I realized was one of the greatest tools. In the world of incessant chatter and incessant obligations, you need to be present in the moment to truly realize what is important to you. Which brings me to, I think I'm waiting for the last slide. Yes, acts of kindness. So in a world where we are so trying to figure out, all of us are lost adults trying to figure out in life, none of us have it right. Acts of kindness is assuming the best in a person and truly wishing the well for them. Not assuming that this person has it all. Everyone is fighting a battle, and that is very important. And why I say acts of kindness is because if Mrs. A hadn't shown me that act of kindness that day, I probably wouldn't have lived to tell the tale today.